Welcome back to Midcap Radar. Well, as promised, let's now talk about Quick Heal Technologies. The company has seen a pickup in revenue in H1 FY25, their consumer business showing resilience despite industry-level challenges. To talk about the business momentum and outlook here, Vishal Salvi, the CEO of the company, joins us now. Good afternoon, Vishal. Thank you so much for joining us. First up, give us a sense of how Q3 is shaping up. We also understand that there were some headwinds that you were facing in the business. So Q3 have headwinds abated?
Here obviously we wanted to talk about our launches and some of the new exciting offers that we have for our customers. I think we have always maintained that we are right now in an investment mode, focusing on our R&D and also significantly focusing on our pivot, to the enterprise business. And in the last few years, you've seen that our enterprise to our consumer mix has grown to around 40%. And it's showing a strong trajectory towards increase. So I think that's really what we're focusing on. And if you've seen our previous announcements, we have actually talked about releases of the new technologies that we would be doing. And last week, the largest cybersecurity conference that we were there, we actually announced those. So we are committed and we are delivering on those commitments of the new products that we are launching. So overall, I think we feel comfortable and happy in terms of how we are progressing so far.
All right, you're comfortable and happy, Vivek. Vishal, just a couple of things on building on what you said already. Two things. One, you said you are focusing more on enterprise versus retail. What's the difference in margin out here? I mean, it's 40-60 right now. Where do you anticipate this to go? That's point number one. And secondly, you announced a few launches last week, but you also had launched AntiFraud.AI, a new category in the consumer security vertical. What's the addressable market here and what's your aspiration here?
Yeah, so, we had mentioned this earlier as well, and I wanted to just reconfirm that, our enterprise business is, better in terms of margin, in terms of, how we look at, because the consumer business has become deeply commoditized. And so, it's high volume, low margin business. And the growth as well as the profitability is in the enterprise. And that's why the company is right now deeply focused in that. Doesn't mean that we are, leaving our pedal, in terms of our consumer business is concerned. And that's the, our commitment towards that by the fact that we launch AntiFraud.AI, which is a purely consumer product. The reason we launched it is because we were seeing so many different frauds which are happening and cybercrime growing in the country. And a lot of that is actually emanating from mobile phones and social engineering attacks. And it's basically because people are not able to really adjust to the way in terms of how these frauds are, looking at the vulnerabilities of your phone and, exploiting that. And so, we thought that just what we have done 3 decades back, as far as antivirus is concerned, we have now launched a new category for anti-fraud, which has the foundation of what we do as antivirus, but also added more features and functionalities. So we are extremely ambitious in terms of our goals. And, just like we are standing for, Quick Heal stands for antivirus, we want to now, position Quick Heal to stand for, anti-fraud when you talk about this problem to be solved. So it's the initial launch, just a couple of months into the launch. We've got some good feedback. We've already, in a phase of releasing new versions of the product. And the growth is going to come in the future, once we've kind of fine-tuned and, made it broad-based.
Understood that. Vishal, could you give us a sense of timelines? In the last couple of years, you've been in investment phase, like you mentioned. Also, this particular development, AntiFraud.AI, that too has entailed quite a bit of R&D expense. Now, give us a sense, number one, what is the kind of revenue pickup you're seeing from these investments? And also, in the past, you've spoken about monetizing, some of the R&D spends that you've done earlier. So what is the status on that?
I think both are critical. I think the first one, the cybersecurity product business is extremely new from an Indian market perspective because we are the only cybersecurity company, full stack cybersecurity company from India. Majority of the players who dominate world as well as India right now are from US and Silicon Valley. And so from that point of view, there's also a lot of awareness that is required in terms of how you look at this business model from Indian context. And typically, you will find that there is a long gestation period to get a right product market fit. And you need to remain invested because the threats are changing dynamically, and you need to be able to keep on investing so that you are able to build a product which is able to withstand all these threats, which are not just for today but also for the future. So we will continue to be in the investment mode for the foreseeable future, and we will keep on adding more and more product launches so that we are able to build a comprehensive platform and portfolio for our customers. That's really what our ambition is, and eventually we want to be the Indian, global cybersecurity product play, right? Now,
Right.
so we will continue to do that. Now, to answer your second question, I think what we are seeing is a pivot, and we will right now focus on building that foundation for that enterprise business, and we are still deeply invested in that right now. So it will take time for us to break the shackles to actually compete with the global players and actually start seeing that upside in future quarters.
We would have liked a lot more in terms of numeric details. So just, I'm trying my luck here once again. Let's say 3 years from now, with all the things that you're doing, what could your annual revenue run rate be? And I ask this because for the last 6 years or so, your annual run rate has been just around 300 crores. And the margins have, dropped from what? A peak of 16% in FY21 to as low as 5% last year. So 3 years from now, what is your aspirational revenue and margin target?
Yeah, so unfortunately, I'll not be able to give you numbers, but I'll give you something for you to really get a sense of what we are into, right? So from a comparison point of view, clearly, it's not fair to compare because we were a consumer business in the previous comparison that you're doing versus what we are now getting into, which is enterprise. So all the investments which are happening is because we want to pivot to that enterprise, and we are doing it by putting all the profits into the new products which are not yet broken even, and they will break even in future. So that's number one. And we are obviously putting all that money and expensing it out. That's number one. Number two
Right.
is you have to look at the cyber security growth industry, and then look at us in terms of our potential and see that we will definitely be doing better in terms of growth as compared to the CAGR of the cybersecurity industry in the near future. So when you look at a 3-year
Right.
horizon, given where we are today, we will actually pivot, and we will get into that space very soon.
Okay, so maybe not look at historical CAGR in terms of what you've delivered, but look at the industry and hopefully you hope to outgrow that particular industry trend. But moving on, thank you so much for joining us and sharing insights. And the stock has moved to the day's highest point, even as you spoke to us. Well, let's now focus